If you'll all remain standing, it's my great honor and privilege to present to you, as son of Israel Abel, the great deacon Melchizedek Hawkins. Shalom, everyone. You may be seated. May the peace of Yahweh be with each and every one of you. Now, if we'll start off by turning to the book of Psalms, found on page 435. Psalms chapter 2, and let's start off on verse 1, page 435, and it starts off and it says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people plot vanity, empty schemes?" Verse 2 says, "The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers take counsel against Yahweh and His anointed." Okay, so if we go back up to verse 1, we see that there's side note G1, and it says, "The conspiracy of the Gentiles, the murmuring of the Yadayim, and power of the kings cannot prevail against the Messiah." Notice, they will not prevail against the Messiah. So today let us focus on this plotting and this scheming against the house of Yahweh, this work of Yahweh in these last days. And this right here, it's speaking of Yada, okay, the ones on the 7 hills of Rome, the ones that hold the scepter at this time. Okay, now, the Jesuits. Alright, so, Pope Francis is a Jesuit, and, Pope Francis, it's actually one of the things, they're not supposed to be, a Pope is not supposed to be a Jesuit, but he is. And remember, whenever he came on People magazine, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says there, the charming rebel, okay, the charming rebel, okay. And it also says there that he loves soccer. He loves soccer. And if we go up here, it's got the letters P-E-L-E. And that's Pele was considered to be one of the greatest soccer players. And he's also from South America, where Pope Francis is also from. Okay? Now that word here, the word charming, right there, charming, it's one of the definitions of beguile. All right, it means beguile means to charm or enchant, often in a deceptive way. And if you look down a little bit, it gives an example. It says they were beguiled into signing a peace treaty, and this is what is occurring right now. You know, this peace treaty, this 7-year plan, it's not to bring peace. That's not what they're wanting. They're wanting the 7-year peace plan. It's for money, okay, and for power. You know, they divide the land for gain, okay. So let's start off by turning to Psalms 37. Psalms 37. Okay, and let's look at verse 12. It's found on page 448. Verse 12, and it says, "The wicked plots against the righteous man and gashes on him with his teeth." Okay, let's also look over to Psalms 140. Psalms 140 and verse 1, it says, "Deliver us, O Yahweh, from the evil man, from the man of violence. Protect us, because they devise evil plans in their hearts all the day and conspire warfare." Okay, and also let's look over to the book of Micaiah. Micaiah chapter 2 and verse 1. It's found on page 704. Micaiah 2 and verse 1. It says, "Woe to those who devise iniquity, who plot evil upon their beds. When the morning dawns, they carry out their plans because it is their power to do so." Okay? So I have a short video for you to watch, and pay close attention to them here. They're talking about the murmuring and the whispering. You know, they're they're trying to destroy the work of Yahweh in these last days. If I could get my video 1.
Murmuratio, it's a Latin word to say just chatting.
Literally whispers, murmurings, whispers, murmurings, whispers, murmurings.
It's a time for prayer, a time for thinking, time for talking, and with that human knowledge, and that spiritual knowledge in a sense, you've got a good idea of where we are going.
There is a time, a specific time inside of the general congregation, which we talk one-to-one, so not in groups, about people. We try to do that in kind of a spiritual environment for trying to choose the right person as a general of the Society of Jesus.
It comes directly to us from Ignatius, who was convinced that God talks to us through spiritual emotions that we experience of consolation, of desolation.
There's a process of praying and listening for the voice of the Spirit that goes into it.
And I think that Spirit is very, very active amidst us, around us, and with us. And I think Murmuratio works not because of us, because we are open to the Spirit.
Because we are Jesuits from so many different parts of the world and gathering for a very important event of electing a new general, it just seems appropriate that we'll spend time together, trying to get comfortable with one another, trying to find out about one another, trying to ask questions, clarify doubts, seek information.
It's going to be another strange kind of experience of friendship.
It's that communal spirit that I'm really excited about.
Alright, so we could see there, about the murmuring and the whispering. He talks about that there. They're planning and they're scheming to try to destroy the work of Yahweh, but they will not prevail. If we look over to the book of Matthew, chapter 16, let's look over to verse 18. It's found on page 744, Matthew 16, verse 18. What I say to you who are Kepha, whose name means rock, that upon this rock, Yahweh, unity, I will build this house, family, the house of Yahweh, and the gates of Sheol, the grave, will not prevail against it. Okay, so they're talking about this word, murmuratio. Alright, and if you put that in the gematria calculator, this is what it comes out to here. There's the numbers 149, 894, and 780. Alright? So let's start off with the number 149 in the Strong's. Okay? And it means a shameful thing. Shame base. Alright, if we look over to the book of Philippians 3 and verse 19, it says, whose end is destruction, whose God El is their belly, and glory is their shame, who set their mind on earthly things. Okay? So, alright, so their glory here is their shame. Alright, it says that they set their mind on earthly things. Remember that person said in that video, human knowledge. Okay, this earthly knowledge, and then spiritual knowledge in a sense, like it's not that important. Okay, so they kept on saying, spiritual and spirit. So let's turn over to the book of Yachanan. Chapter 6, verse 63. It's found on page 822. It says, it is the spirit that gives life. The flesh is useless. The laws that I speak to you, they are spirit and they are life everlasting. But we all know that they're not using the laws of Yahweh. So I wonder what spirit they're using here. It's not the laws of Yahweh. It's the spirit of Satan. It's the spirit that is opposed to Yahweh. Okay? Let's see here. So that word, or that number 149 goes to Greek 150. And it means base, disgraceful, improper, dishonorable. Okay, so their glory here is dishonorable to them. It's disgraceful to them. Okay, the second number here is 894. 894, which means confusion. Confusion by mixing. Remember, Babylon means confusion. They're confused at this time. This is the state that this world is in. They're confused. Alright? It goes, also 894 means wormwood, a type of bitterness and calamity. Okay? Also, the next number, 780, means precipitation of curse. Okay, and it also from a derivative of the base 2237, which means with pleasure. Okay, and that 2237 means sensual, desire, lust, pleasure, and desires for pleasure. Okay, that word sensual, if we look over to the book of Jacob 3. Jacob 3 and verse 14. Let's start off on verse 14. It's found on page 955. It says, "But if you have bitter rivalry and strife in your hearts, do not boast and lie against the truth. This wisdom does not descend from above, but is earthly, sensual, and demonic. For where rivalry and strife are, there is confusion in every evil work." And we know that there's every evil work, the Vatican at this time. And that word sensual, though, is number 5591, and it means natural of the soul or mind, sensuous, behavior that is more of earth, carnality. Okay, it also means natural and worldly minded. Remember what that person said, worldly knowledge. Okay? And it also means base nature. Okay, so these things that they have here, they're sensual and demonic. But base nature, so what is base nature? So this word bestial, it stresses likeness to an animal in low intelligence, in base appetites, and in behavior based on instinct, brutish, and stupidity. Okay, so if we look over to the book of Psalms real quick. Psalms 41. Psalms 41, and let's look at verse 7. And it's found on page 450. Together they who hate us whisper against us, and they plot our injury. If we also look over to Lamentations, chapter 3 and verse 62, it says there, "The speech and the thoughts of my enemies are against me all day." They sit there and they conspire. How can we destroy the house of Yahweh, the work of Yahweh? Because this is what they're trying to do. Okay, but remember, the gates of hell will not prevail against the work of Yahweh in these last days. So with that, if everyone will please stand, I'll turn it over to the next speaker, son of Israel Abel, Deacon Yaakov.
Shalom, everyone. You may be seated. May the peace